Hello students. So previously you have covered some fiction material such as The Monkey's Paw and some poems and songs in this anthology. Today I'd like to share with you some non-fiction material, and this would be linked to your social issues elective that you'll be going over in G11. So today we're talking about the theme and topic of bullying. Okay, so according to your handouts, you'll be given two texts, 9A and 9B. You would then have to answer some comprehension questions after you finish the reading passages, and during your live sessions, you may also have some discussions with your peers on this particular theme of bullying. So with no further ado, I'd like to give you an overview of the text, just to summarize a few things and perhaps offer you some ideas on how to tackle some of those questions or grasp some of the concepts. I'll also give you an idea of how to go about the discussion questions that is related to this theme of bullying. So in text 9a, as you can see, it's very important to identify the text types. You need to understand that this comes in the form of two texts, a letter to the editor and the editor's response. Okay, so there are two texts here, and you can see that it's more like a dialogue, a conversation between these two parties. Okay, and usually when we write a letter to the editor, we have something to share regarding a social issue. So in this case, it's a bullying problem. And the student here, Miss Tang, has offered a solution to bullying in her letter to the editor. Okay, so she briefly talks about what this program, Kiva, is. And then the letter to the editor would respond to the student's letter and tries to offer some ideas. Firstly, the editor addresses that the program itself is very good, but there are certain limitations if it is to be implemented in Hong Kong. Obviously, as you all know, we all have very hectic schedules, and it might be very difficult to discuss these issues in detail, as we might have to cover other things in our syllabuses and in our other subjects. Okay, so this is one important key point in paragraph 4. Okay, so before you start tackling the questions, it's a good idea to skim and scan. To skim, firstly, what this is all about, the overview of the topic and the theme, and then you may refer to the questions below and scan for certain answers. So for example, if we're talking about the previous question, it would be somewhere here. According to the text, what's the biggest obstacle to Hong Kong schools adopting Kiva? So if you can quickly scan paragraph 4 in text 9a, you get the answer. Okay. So moving down to text 9, before we move on to 9b, I also want to cover a few things that the editor suggests. So according to paragraph 5, these are some ideas related to dealing with bullying as a victim. Okay, paragraph 6 would be playing a role of a bystander, someone who is only witnessing the event. What would you do? And finally, if you have been a bully unknowingly, there's something that you need to to be careful about, and you might need to stop it. So these are all some of the ideas to deal with bullying as signposted in paragraph 4. Okay, so that's the main idea of 9a. As for 9b, is another article written to show statistics about bullying and how this is somewhat linked to suicide. So as you read on, you'll find out how they try to find the causation of suicide and linking that with bullying cases. Okay. One major concept on paragraph 3 is also bolded in here in paragraph 3. It's also linked to the question here in question number 8. What does the old adage about sticks and stones mean? Explain. So before that, you must understand some words and concepts. Adage and sticks and stones. Without understanding the question requirement, you have no idea how to attempt the question. Okay? So, you may occasionally need to do some research if you are not so sure about some phrases and expressions. So for example, adage. According to a dictionary I've looked up, an adage is a well-known phrase expressing a general truth about people. Okay, so there are some very common expressions like silence is golden or look before you leap. There's some kind of common wisdom. Okay, so in here, sticks and stone would be that kind of adage. It's a kind of children's nursery rhyme to provide some advice to children or kids whenever they are being bullied verbally. When people are taunting them or jeering or laughing at them, they can memorize this. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So that means words should not be that damaging. They should try to toughen themselves up and try not to see this that seriously. Okay. However, if we take a look at here, puts the lie to the old adage about sticks and stones. So you may be able to infer that this is not necessarily true. Okay? Whenever someone hurts us with their words, it's possible that it may hurt us even more than physical assaults, or fists, or any other physical abuse. Okay? So that means this is not true, this is a lie. Words are definitely very, very offensive, and they may hurt us a lot. Okay, so that's basically what it means. You can try to explain that in your own words in the article, and try to finish off the questions. Finally, I'll also like to draw your attention to the discussion questions. So, as you can see, you may simply relate to your personal examples. I'm sure you may have heard stories of bullying, and the more you share, the better your peers would be able to relate to these cases and thereby generate a productive discussion. So make sure you use a lot of examples. In my case, I also like to link this with your other subject because it's important to draw links between subjects, and particularly liberal studies, there's a module about personal development and interpersonal relationships, and bullying, cyberbullying is definitely one of those hit topics. So you can try to gather some words and vocabulary to add in your discussion. For example, you can talk about uh, the spread of cyberbullying is caused by uh, anonymous comments, and people do not have the responsibility, uh, do not have to bear the responsibility for saying hurtful things to others. And therefore, these comments would be sent out virally and would lead to a lot of psychological stress to the victim. Okay, so you can keep accumulating and building these words and vocabulary and add those personal examples to generate some discussions among your peers. All right, so that's all about it regarding the theme of bullying. I hope you would be able to tackle those questions and be able to gather some great ideas and expressions for your discussion. Thank you.